Okay, so I've been reading a lot of mock drafts, just making content, things like that on this channel, and I've seen some ideas pop up that, quite frankly, I just think are bad ideas. Now, some of these ideas might happen, so that's kind of what I decided to compile into a list for this video. 7 ideas that I think would be mistakes that very much might happen. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. First couple aren't going to be that exciting, so hopefully it gets more interesting as we get further along the list. Number 7 is the Cowboys' reach on a wide receiver. Seems like they want to go wide receiver, and to be honest, I think there are a couple wide receivers worth the number 12 overall pick. Matthew Golden and Ted McMillan both feel like guys that would be good there. The reason why I'm just putting this here is I think the Cowboys have multiple needs, and I think that they shouldn't get too locked into one position. Seems like there's a potential that they maybe do if those receivers are off the board, or if they aren't as crazy about those receivers as other people are, because receivers people tend to have very different opinions about. So yeah, again, not a crazy one here, not exactly wowing everybody with my hot take, but that's number 7 on the list. Number 6, I promise these will get more interesting as we get further, but again, this is interesting to me. Seahawks reach on a guard. So again, in doing some mock drafts, you quickly kind of realize the Seahawks are in a bit of a weird place. So they're picking 18th in the draft. They really need an interior offensive lineman, but there kind of really isn't a great one there. It seems like most of them are either getting projected like, top 10, that most of those are tackles, but maybe could play guard, or then like, around like 25-30 range. So I think the Seahawks, I actually think that a mild reach on a guard wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for them, because they do really need a guard. But if maybe some of the best guards aren't available and they decide to have a big reach for a guard, I could see something like this happening where they take a guy that nobody is expecting, in that spot, and everyone's like, what just happened? I could see something like that happening. So that's number 6. Number 5, okay, let's get controversial a little bit, because this is a move I think a lot of people would like if it happened as well. If the Broncos draft Marion Hampton with the number 20th overall selection. Now, why don't I love this? Well, for one thing, there's the whole running back value discussion, right? And it just seems like we all have our opinions about it. There's no use in trying to convince anybody anymore. We've all come to our conclusions. I don't think running backs are as valuable as maybe the fans might think, because I think that usually the running back gets credit for what the entire running game does, which isn't fair. So that's part 1. I don't think the positional value is great unless you're getting a superstar level runner, which I just don't think Amarian Hampton is. I'm also just kind of colder on him as a player. I think he's closer to Najee Harris and Travis Etienne than he is a Bijan Robinson or a Jahmyr Gibbs. That's just kind of how I'm at in terms of first round running backs, right? Which is kind of why I see him going there. I also just think that the Broncos, I think that there's more pressing needs and more pressing needs that they will be able to fill with the 20th overall pick. Again, he's a good player and he will help them win. I just think there's players that could help them win more. Again, I know it's not a take everyone's going to agree with, but these are my opinions, so that is one of them. Number 4 is the Bengals draft Shamar Stewart. This is another one I've seen get mocked a lot. And again, if I am saying that these might happen, that means that there are going to be people who agree with this decision. Shamar Stewart, very controversial prospect. There are people who think he should be in the top 10. There are people who think he should not be in the first round. I am one of those second people. I think he should not be in the first round. I think that he's a really good run defender and has real projections of good stuff. I think he should be, maybe in this draft class, he could even be a first rounder, given just the fact that I think it's a weaker draft class. But he's just not a prospect I'm crazy about because of the projections, because of the lack of production, not just when it comes to lack of sacks, but also lack of pass rush win rate, things of that nature. I think for the right team, this makes sense, right? Like, I don't think no team should draft Shamar Stewart. I just think the Bengals need a guy who can just be a good player right now, and that's just not who Stewart is. He could be an okay player right now, but I think they can do more with the pick that they have than a Shamar Stewart, and I just feel like this would be a mistake, but it might happen, so that's why it's number 4. Number 3 is the Browns draft Shedeur Sanders. I don't think this is going to happen. I think Browns fans will be okay with this. And it's not that I hate Shedeur Sanders as a prospect. I have a first-round grade on him, right? I like Shedeur Sanders more than some. I dislike him more than other some, right? He's another controversial prospect that no one can seem to agree upon. But ultimately, whether you like him or whether you think he's okay, I just feel like an opportunity to get a blue chip, either corner or edge rusher right here that could help you for the next 12 years. It's just more value than even a decent quarterback prospect. I know, hey, if Shedeur Sanders ends up being awesome, this will look stupid. And there's a chance that happens, right? There is. But ultimately, I'd rather have I feel like a much higher chance that you just get a stud at a important defensive position, or maybe you like Hunter as a wide receiver, but I'd rather go in one of those two directions. Number 2 is kind of in line with number 3 here, although I did phrase it differently for a very specific reason. So I have the Giants not taking Abdul Carter. And what do I mean by that? Well, okay, if the Browns take Shedeur Sanders, then I'd have no issue with them taking Travis Hunter and not taking Abdul Carter. I'm talking about a very specific situation where Cam Ward goes first overall, and then you have Travis Hunter going second overall. I think in that situation, unless the Giants can get a trade, which if you get a trade, I would be fine with that. I am saying I think the Giants taking anyone but Abdul Carter is not maximizing the value of that draft pick. I think going after a Mason Graham, who is very good. He's not as good as Abdul Carter as a prospect, in my opinion. Maybe he'll be a better pro, but he's not a better prospect, in my opinion. Or getting a Shedeur Sanders, I think that would just be a mistake. I think that making sure that you maximize the value of that pick, the reason why they might not take Carter is because of their personnel, but I don't think that Kayvon Thibodeau has been good enough to get you to turn your nose at a potential, like, franchise edge rusher. I just don't. So, to me, that would be a pretty big mistake if they made it. And number 1, this is one I see getting mentioned a lot, and I got to put this out here ahead of time, because Panthers fans always accuse me of being a hater of their franchise. And listen, it's weird how the teams that I think that, the fan bases that think I'm a hater of their franchise are the ones who are always bad, like the Giants and the Panthers. Maybe I just criticize the moves they make because they make bad moves. But ultimately, I'm a Buccaneers fan, so there's probably some truth to the Panthers, rumors at least. I at least can see where you're coming from, right? But I want to get this out ahead of time to say this is a move I would very much not like, is if they select Jalen Walker with the number 8 overall pick. It's been projected a lot. First off, I'm just not a Jalen Walker guy. I'm just not. I don't see him as a off-ball linebacker. A lot of people like that he's kind of a, he can do multiple things, but I don't think he can do them great. I don't love him as an off-ball linebacker. To me, he is a pure edge, and he's very much a projection at edge, right? Because he didn't do it a ton in college. There are traits to like. I do think that he is a valuable piece, and I think that maybe he could be a Trayvon Walker someday. Totally different players, but someone who develops into a good player after several years. But ultimately, getting a developmental edge rusher when there are edge rushers that are just better as of right now, if you want to go that direction, is a mistake. And I think the bigger reason it's a mistake is there are really good weapons in this draft class, in my opinion. Ted McMillan will probably be available at number 8. I think passing up on him to get a developmental edge rusher that maybe can play linebacker is just not the right move when you're trying to develop Bryce Young, which is what I would be doing. Poor Bryce Young has been in a horrible situation. Can we get some help for him? I know you can get guys in round 2, but look at how that's gone in previous years. They haven't done a great job at drafting guys in rounds 2. So again, you have some pieces. I like Jalen Corker. I like Adam Thielen's still going, right? David Moore is a fine wide receiver 4. Maybe Xavier Legette takes a step up this year. He did show flashes in year 1, but ultimately, you need a number 1. So again, if the board breaks down a certain way, maybe this would make sense. But if they trade back and then get him, okay, fine. But I think if there's the people that we expect to be available at 8 and they go Jalen Walker, to me that would be the biggest mistake that I can see happening in the upcoming draft. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching to the end of that video. I do appreciate it. If you want to see my other channel, Jackson Kruger Movies, where I talk about movies, give some film reviews and stuff like that of a different kind, if that seems like your kind of thing, the link is in the description below for that, as is the link for my Twitter account. I'm at Jackson Kruger, so give me a follow on there if that's your kind of thing. And also, of course, remember to hit the subscribe button on this channel. I do always appreciate it, and thanks again for watching to the end of the video.